Our Manchin's new demands a sign that this spending bill may not be dead. Former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove joins me now. Karl, I got to tell you, the news is not really news, right? I mean, this is what Senator Manchin was talking about this whole time with respect to the child care tax credit. Has anything else changed there?
I don't think so. I mean, it sounds to me like, what's he going to say? No, I'm never going to be open to having discussions with you. I don't think that's his style, and he doesn't want to look like the bad guy. So, of course, he's saying, I'll be happy to sit down with you. But he's been very clear. He does not believe we need a big spending bill. He thinks that any measure ought to be tied to work requirements and ought to be also tied to income. That is to say, the wealthier you are, the less likely you are to get the benefit. And if you do get the benefit, you have to be working or looking for work. He doesn't want to undo that connection between a government benefit and a work requirement that so many Democrats apparently want to axe.
You know what's really amazing about the whole part about the eligibility? Up to 200,000, where it starts to phase out. Up to 400,000, you're still getting something.
Yep.
This has been promoted. Everything the Democrats promote, they promote either as helping black and brown or poor and middle class. But so many of these things that they've drawn a line in the sand with, whether it's $15,000 for electric vehicles, whether it's $80,000 for your mortgage tax, or even something like this. This is not for poor folks. This is something that I'm shocked more Democrats aren't pushing back on.
Well, some Democrats have grown enamored with the idea of universal benefits. That is to say, it shouldn't matter whether you make a lot or not. You ought to get the benefit from the government because the government can deliver it more efficiently than can the marketplace. Take a look, for example, at paid family leave. They want to pay 90 to 100% of the cost of existing paid leave programs being offered by private businesses. Does that make sense? We're going to have the government step in and pay for something that a lot of businesses are willing now to provide their employees in order to attract and keep a strong workforce. This whole idea of universality is if we can get everybody hooked onto a government benefit, then more power will be in the hands of the government and less hands in the marketplace.
But the problem with that we saw in real time last year, and we're still feeling it now, it's the I word, inflation. Everyone's talking about it. Senator Joe Manchin connected the dots. Hey, if you give out $2 trillion in money that we do not need, guess what's going to happen? People are going to spend it. It's going to trickle up. You're going to have hundreds of ships parked off the ports in California because you've ordered so many things from China. And he knows this. He's made that connection. How does a moderate, a reasonable Democrat push back against that?
Well, they shouldn't, because as we also know, what we're doing is inflating the currency. What we're essentially doing is devaluing the dollar. And so the money that we get, that's one of the reasons why, as inflation has gone up, even though wages are rising, the cost of the goods and services we're trying to buy are rising faster than our wages. So we're running faster in order to get further behind. And that's one of the arguments that Manchin made. We can't afford this as a country. All this excess spending has a real-life implication, and that real-life implication is it drives up prices by depreciating the value of the currency.
Now, having said all of these things, do you think ultimately some sort of deal will be made?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they arrived at something, but that something would be significantly less than the $5 trillion true cost of the Build Back Better plan. It would be something that Manchin insists be tied to a work requirement, that it be means tested so that it doesn't go to wealthy people, and that it be, quote, paid for. That is to say, there has to be a tax or some kind of change that allows the revenue to pay for the full cost of the package. I can see them coming up with something. I don't see it passing. Because to the degree that they give in to Manchin's demands, you're going to have people like Payapal, the congresswoman who leads the Progressive Caucus, saying we're not going to vote for that when it comes to the House because we want a universal benefit. We don't want it to be limited, and we think it ought to be much, 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 much bigger. Yeah,
I guess no Cornhusker kickback in this one. I got a minute to go, Karl. We also heard Chad talking about this filibuster, an attempt, maybe, I guess, a one-time adjustment to the filibuster for Voting's Right, the update on the Voting's Right Act. What's happening there?
Well, you've got two people, Sinema of Arizona and Manchin of West Virginia, and probably others in the caucus, Democratic caucus, who are not happy about the idea of getting rid of the 60-vote requirement, because they recognize if that happens, the nature of the Senate changes dramatically, and we suddenly find ourselves in a place where if a party controls the House, the Senate, and the White House, it does dramatic things, and then when it loses control and the other party gets in, we ping-pong back the other direction. Does anybody think that if Republicans, if the 60-vote requirement goes away and Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, they wouldn't do things like impose a national voter ID requirement on, quote, voting rights? I mean, let's not kid ourselves. This is a very bad maneuver. I don't know why Schumer is doing it, because he doesn't have the votes to pull it off, and he's going to look foolish, come up short, and look weak as a result, because he's got at least two Democrats, Sinema and Manchin, saying we're not going for it. And I suspect from my conversation with a number of the members of the Senate, there are more Democrats back there who agree with Sinema and Manchin more than they agree with Schumer on this.
Yeah, they just don't want to be beaten up by the mainstream media, which has gone to town on Sinema. Oh, my goodness, the things they said about her this weekend. I got to tell you, Carl, it's great seeing you. Happy New Year. And the framers had some pretty good notions about the tyranny of the majority. Human nature, sometimes you got to protect against it, no matter how good your intentions are. See you soon, friend.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.